Before the war, a morning in Gaza might have started with the smell of fresh bread baking in the oven, or the sound of children laughing as they prepared for school. Families would gather for breakfast, sharing stories and planning their day. The streets were filled with the familiar hustle and bustle of life, shopkeepers opening their doors, neighbors greeting each other, and the distant hum of the sea. Life had its challenges, of course, but it was a life filled with routines, dreams, and the simple joys of being together. Children played in the streets, flew kites against the blue sky, and looked forward to seeing their friends and learning new things in their classrooms. Now, the mornings wake to a different reality, one that is heavy with uncertainty and loss. The familiar sounds of a bustling city have been replaced by the unsettling quiet of empty streets or the loud, frightening noises of conflict. The homes that once held so much love and laughter are now damaged or gone, forcing families to leave everything they have ever known behind. Waking up is no longer about preparing for a normal day of school or work. It is about facing the immediate and overwhelming challenge of finding safety, clean water, and something to eat. The sky, once a canvas for kites, now feels like a source of danger. For the children of Gaza, this new reality has stolen the simple pleasures of childhood. Their schools have been closed or destroyed, and their playgrounds have become unsafe. Instead of learning math or reading stories, they are learning the hard lessons of survival. Their world has shrunk from a vibrant community to the cramped, unfamiliar space of a tent or a crowded shelter. The daily rhythm of life has been shattered, and each new day brings a profound sense of instability. The simple act of waking up is now filled with a deep worry for what the hours ahead will hold for them and their loved ones. The change is not just in the buildings that have fallen, but in the hearts of the people who live there. The feeling of home, of a safe place to return to at the end of the day, has vanished for so many. Families are scattered, and the strong community bonds that once held everyone together are being tested like never before. Every morning is a reminder of what has been lost. Not just possessions and houses, but a way of life, a sense of security, and the peaceful moments that make up a childhood. The dawn brings not just light, but a heavy shadow of grief and struggle. In this new and difficult life, the simple act of getting food has become a dangerous journey. Imagine being so hungry that you have to risk your safety just for a bag of flour or a can of beans. This is the reality for countless families in Gaza. Aid centers, places that are supposed to be safe havens where people can receive help, have tragically become places of immense danger. Recent reports from June 2025 tell us that many people have been hurt or even killed while waiting in line for food and other essential supplies. These locations, meant to offer relief, are now seen by many as death traps. The journey for aid is filled with fear. People must often walk for miles through damaged streets, not knowing if they will be safe. When they finally reach a distribution point, they join massive, desperate crowds. The need is so great that there is never enough for everyone. This scarcity creates a tense and chaotic environment where accidents can happen and people can get hurt. The United Nations has called the way aid is being distributed an abomination because it puts the most vulnerable people, who are already suffering so much, in even greater peril just to get a meal. The numbers paint a heartbreaking picture of this struggle. In just 1 month, officials in Gaza reported that over 500 Palestinians were killed and thousands more were injured near these aid sites. The search for sustenance has become a life-or-death gamble. Tragically, the lack of food is having devastating consequences, especially for the youngest and most fragile. On June 26, 2025, it was reported that 2 babies died from malnutrition. This means they did not have enough food to survive. Every parent's worst nightmare is not being able to feed their child, and this nightmare is a daily reality for families across Gaza. This crisis goes beyond just hunger. It is also a crisis of dignity. No one should have to choose between starvation and their own safety. The constant search for food, water, and medicine consumes every moment of the day, leaving no room for rest, play, or hope. It is a relentless cycle of desperation that wears down the human spirit. The people of Gaza are not just asking for food, they are asking for a safe and humane way to receive it, to be able to provide for their families without fearing for their lives in the process. The numbers that tell the story of this war are almost too big to comprehend, but it is important to try, so we can understand the scale of the suffering. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, since the conflict began, at least 56,259 people have been killed. To put that in perspective, imagine all the people in a large sports stadium. Now imagine that stadium filled with people who are gone forever. The number of people wounded is even higher, at over 132,458. Each number represents a person, a mother, a father, a child, a friend, whose life has been cut short or forever changed by injury. The conflict did not begin in a vacuum. It is important to remember that on October 7, 2023, attacks in Israel resulted in the deaths of 1,139 people, and more than 200 individuals were taken from their homes as captives. This event caused immense pain and fear for families in Israel, many of whom are still waiting and hoping for their loved ones to return safely. The pain of this conflict has touched people on both sides, creating a deep cycle of grief and loss that has spread across the entire region, leaving no community untouched by its devastating impact. However, today in Gaza, the daily struggle is overwhelming and all-encompassing. The challenge is not just surviving the violence, but surviving the conditions it has created. Nearly everyone in Gaza is struggling to find enough food to eat. This widespread hunger is a crisis within a crisis, making people weak and sick. Access to medical care is another enormous challenge. Hospitals have been damaged or are overflowing with patients, and there are not enough doctors, nurses, or medical supplies to treat everyone who is sick or injured. Simple illnesses or injuries can become life-threatening when there is no medicine or clean place for treatment. Finding a safe place to live is nearly impossible for most families. So many homes have been destroyed that millions of people have been displaced, meaning they have had to flee with nothing but the clothes on their backs. They now live in makeshift tents or overcrowded shelters, where there is little privacy and protection from the elements. This loss of home is a deep wound, taking away the foundation of family life and the sense of security that every person deserves. The cost of this war is counted not just in lives lost, but in the millions of lives that have been completely upended. In the midst of so much darkness, it can be hard to find light. But even in the most difficult times, the hope for a better future never completely fades away. All around the world, people are watching what is happening in Gaza and are calling for peace. Leaders from different countries are working to try and find a solution, talking about ceasefires and ways to end the fighting. Families in Israel are pleading for the safe return of their loved ones held captive, and families in Gaza are praying for an end to the daily violence so they can begin to rebuild their lives. The most important wish is for the children. Every child, no matter where they are born, deserves to grow up in a world where they feel safe and loved. They deserve to go to school, to play with their friends, and to dream about who they will become when they grow up. The children of Gaza have seen too much pain and have lost too much of their childhood. The hope is for a future where they can once again fly kites in a peaceful sky, where the loudest sound is their own laughter, and where their days are filled with learning and joy instead of fear and survival. Peace is more than just the end of fighting. It is the beginning of healing. It is about rebuilding not just homes and schools, but also trust and community. It is about creating a world where Palestinian and Israeli children can have the chance to live full, happy lives without the shadow of conflict hanging over them. This path is not easy, and it requires courage, understanding, and a commitment from everyone to see each other's humanity. The future depends on planting seeds of peace today, so that a garden of hope can one day grow where there is now only rubble. Let us hold on to the hope that a new dawn will come for Gaza and the entire region, a dawn that brings not more sorrow, but the promise of safety, justice, and lasting peace. Let us wish for a sky that is filled with bright stars at night, not the scars of war. For every family, for every child, the hope for peace is the most powerful force of all. It is a hope that we must all share and work towards, for a future where every life is valued and every child can simply be a child.